Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is Michael from Department of Trade Consumer Protection. Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic. We're going to pick your brain today on talking about business closures. What can consumers do? I threw out the example to you that, I heard you hear of, pick on restaurants, favorite restaurant closes randomly and puts the sign on the door and you're like, oh man, I have a gift card or I have this left or whatever. And you're like, how am I going to get that back? Well, I've heard of that. Wasn't there like a wedding one recently?
There was.
Some big venue and somebody lost their, anyway. You never know when a business can close. Things happen, whatever the case may be. But today, hopefully, we can help you kind of be sort of semi-prepared, or what could you do after the closures happen. But in general, when a business closes their door and just says bye, I mean, is that the end of the world right there? Like, can it be, or can there still be conversations? I mean, it's going to depend, I'm sure.
It is going to depend, and it's going to depend what level of interest or dependency you have on that business. And so you had a good example, do you have a gift card to use? Second is, does that business maybe have some of your property, or are they doing some work for you? Or third is, have you made a deposit, and there's a service that's supposed to be given to you down the road? So it really depends on what your relationship is with that business.
All right, so if a business has consumer property, let's talk about that. The business owner or manager may be able to return some of the property back to you?
Yeah, it definitely starts with just reaching out to them. So, they filed bankruptcy, but at the same time, that's kind of the business operation. Most of them don't have an interest in keeping your property. They certainly want to get it back to you because ultimately that's going to come out through the bankruptcy court, and they're going to say, hey, you have my property, become a creditor. So managers and owners certainly have a motivation to get that property back to you. The key is making sure you reach out to them quickly before maybe it gets to the court process and they don't have access to the property, specifically the property or the location anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking too, what if you bought something from like a retail space and it was on back order and you're like, oh man, I'm going to get that back. Or, you made the payment, whatever. You're going to want to call immediately and try to get it back, right? I mean,
you are.
Yeah.
To that point, it's really going to be a difference too if they have physical property. And that's where I think an owner or manager will have a little bit more flexibility to get that back to you versus money or kind of an unknown or a contract that's sitting in limbo.
Yeesh. All right, if a business has consumers' money, which I kind of was leading that direction, whether it's you've made a deposit on, maybe it was a rental hall that closed, maybe it was what do you have to do there besides, again, try to get on the phone with them first off? But
definitely want to hop on the phone and see if they have the opportunity, while they still may have some of those funds to get that back and, get into the front of the line. But then, of course, it does with that line of reaching out to the bankruptcy trustee, and once it starts getting in there and getting yourself listed as a creditor and making sure that they know that you're owed some money. The second is start digging out that paperwork, the contracts, things that will show and validate what you were owed.
If a business goes bankrupt, so to speak, or even goes with protections, does that mean you're out the money automatically?
No, if they go out of business and it has the protections, it still has to go through the court process, and there still is the legal opportunity for those who are owed money to be filed as creditors and get listed and become part of that. Now, it doesn't always mean that you're going to get all or any of your money back, but at least gives you that opportunity for the court to hear it.
All right. So if in any case, in any piece here, just in general, you've kind of said we got to contact them. What if you're just hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock? Like, where can you guys come in and help out in this front from DATCP? Or is it more like you kind of can report it and then play it out?
Yeah, you really, for this one, it's really following the bankruptcy process with the bankruptcy court. There's not a whole lot we can do because we're just going to refer you and we're going to offer you those resources and let you know where you can go to get them. But it's going to be a little bit of a responsibility on that individual to know where it was being filed, understand how they can file as a creditor, and there'll be resources available to do that. But it's really going to be them taking the initiative to do it.
It's a lot of information, and messing with bankruptcy seems like a really difficult path to kind of follow and understand what it means and what it has. I see uscourts.gov here is a great way to follow. So you're saying follow along here, but using that resource, it seems to me that you can follow if they do truly have bankruptcy, if they filed for it or are working through that process.
Exactly. Go to uscourts.gov. And they'll give you not only a checklist of what you need to be looking out for, but they'll also give you the forms on how to file for a creditor. They'll point you where you need to look to follow that. They'll explain to you what those different steps are and what your rights are at each step of that process. So, I love Oftentimes, I like to think that we're the resource that you need to find all the information, but in this one, we're going to get you to somebody who's a little bit more qualified.
I know we're talking about consumers here, but if you were an employee of one of these things and they didn't tell you that this was happening and you showed up to work and you're like, oh no, do you have any suggestions on that front? I know it's outside of the consumer part here, but...
So that would be a little bit different. You would be contacting the Department of Workforce Development, who handles all the employment law and rights and responsibilities. So I would give them a call right away and explain what's happening. Also, I guess maybe before you do that, talk to your employer. If they're closed their doors, they're not contacting you, they're not talking to you, then you can call the Department of Workforce Development. But start with the employer, see what they can do. Hopefully they have something in place, and between those two, at least you'll get an answer.
It sounds like patience here is a big one, like just having the patience, trying to pull as much documentation as you can forward, so you've got, whatever, if it was a contract, if it was, receipt of sale or something, to just have those things together and then work your case from there.
It is, I think we've all experienced, well, maybe we haven't, but the legal, in whatever realm, the legal process takes a little while,
Yes.
And that's by design. And so there are opportunities to make sure that all information is provided and that when a decision is made, it is fully informed and it's the right decision. So that is correct. You're going to need patience for those steps to be taken.
All right, Michael, if people want to learn more about this and what consumers can do to protect themselves, or just in general, or for reporting, whatever the case may be, the website's a really great place to start. It's got the contact information. It's got the thing, even to what we talk about here, you've got those stuff out there for people.
We do. If you come visit us at datcp.wi.gov, we'll certainly get you to where you need to go, and we'll have you resources for both bankruptcy and some of these websites. And if you're not working on the web and you just want to give us a call and ask us some of the questions we talked about here, you can call us at 1-800-422-7128.
Sometimes there's just a lot of stuff that goes into these, and this is one of those where I'd say, check in on the website there to see, from what you guys have for resources out there, and, again, get all your ducks in a row, and don't panic.
Well, not panic. Plus, when you get to the website, you might see some other things that you didn't even know you're supposed to ask.
Yeah,
there's other
exactly,
topics
right?
that we have in this particular area, and you think, oh, this is something that I didn't even thought about that they can help with, and you realize all the other areas that we do have resources for you.
That's why I like Michael.
You got a lot.
You're a good guy. All right, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy.